As most of you know, Firestar and Scourge are half-brothers. And some could say this is poetic, because it shows how similar Firestar, our hero who we've been following for the last 6 books, and Scourge really are. After all, both become leaders of their respective clans, and we learn from Rise of Scourge that Tiny might have had a life similar to Firestar if only he had been accepted into ThunderClan the same way Firestar had been. And I call that a load of fox dung. The parallel between Scourge and Firestar is so slim that they are hardly comparable.
But Scourge went to ThunderClan as a Kittypet and got kicked out. That could have happened to Firestar. They could have went down the same path.
No. Just no. Read the beginning of Into the Wild and Rise of Scourge again. Tiny and Rusty have nothing in common besides being kitty pets. Rusty is already a pretty upstanding citizen when we meet him, while Tiny is the definition of chaotic neutral, just doing whatever is best for himself and trying to survive. While they both went into ThunderClan and met with different results, there's no way Rusty would have ever gone and become the same evil psychopath that Scourge was, even if he had been met with the same hostility in ThunderClan. And same could be said if Tiny had been accepted as a clan cat. I have no doubt in my mind that a clan-reared Tiny might have turned out to be the same kind of unstable mess that he is now. Back on topic though, the real reason I don't care for this parallel between Firestar and Scourge being brought up all the time is because usually when you write that kind of story, you're trying to show your audience what your hero might have been if they didn't have the same strength of character. It shows what the hero fears he may become if he doesn't stick to the straight and narrow. The problem with this allegory here is that we're never afraid of Firestar becoming anything like Scourge. There is never any indication that Firestar has to fight against his own dark nature or anything sinister like that. There is, however, a much better and subtler parallel through Cloudtail, Firestar's Kittypet-born nephew. We're first introduced to Cloudtail as Princess's Kit, her firstborn and the kit she has chosen to give Fireheart to take back to the clan. Cloudkit is reluctantly accepted into the clan, and Fireheart has to deal with the consequences of his actions. Not just because Bluestar punishes his foolishness for assuming that ThunderClan will just take Cloudkit in, but from Cloudkit himself, who's kind of a snotty brat, and Fireheart is always frustrated with how Cloudkit takes his membership in ThunderClan for granted. Cloudkit is overconfident and disrespectful of the life that's been given to him. Even though he's Kittypet-born, Cloudkit doesn't really have a grasp on what this means, or understand why the clan should treat him any differently because of it. And this is totally understandable from Cloudkit's point of view. Cloudkit doesn't remember anything but clan life, unlike Fireheart. He grew up with Ashkit and Fernkit as adopted siblings, and Fireheart is sort of a father figure. And Fireheart has already proven that Kittypet blood shouldn't matter at that point. But for Fireheart and the reader, who have had to watch Fireheart struggle with his own identity, it's easy to want to smack Cloudkit in his little entitled ass. He acts like a total prick, and he's proud of it. He doesn't understand why Fireheart makes such a big deal out of the life Cloudpaw has always had. Contrast all of Cloudtail's personality and upbringing to Fireheart, though. When Fireheart brings Cloudkit back to ThunderClan, he's been having a big personal struggle over whether or not he's worthy to be anything other than a kitty pet. Fireheart struggles with this idea of himself over and over again, and even though he's proven that Kittypet blood shouldn't matter, he gets caught up in believing that it does. Cloudtail and Fireheart couldn't be any more different either. Where Fireheart is respectful, humble, and has a drive to prove himself, Cloudpaw is disrespectful, full of himself, and doesn't feel like he has to prove anything to anyone. Fight the power, you white ball of sass. You do you. But their differences is what makes Cloudpaw such a good character. It's through Cloudpaw that we see how unique Fireheart really is, and what Fireheart fears of becoming, a kitty pet again. Cloudpaw breaks the warrior code and starts eating kitty pet food. He gets caught and taken away by the two legs, and in this subplot alone, we are given a much better allegory between Cloudtail and Firestar as compared to Scourge and Firestar. Cloudtail obviously returns back to the clans, but the whole time that Cloudtail has been missing, Fireheart questions his own worth as a ThunderClan cat over and over again, and when Cloudtail returns to ThunderClan and starts to act more like a respectable warrior, Fireheart's own identity problems start to resolve themselves. Through all of this, though, we see how Fireheart is special. And not just because the prophecy tells us he is. This is a great moment of show versus tell story writing, and we get to see another Kittypet born clan cat be tempted by all the things that Fireheart has chosen to reject, and without having anyone have to up and say that Fireheart has a great strength of character. The reader now just knows this because of Cloudtail's similar background and struggle. Cloudtail even becomes a good warrior in the end, which just makes Firestar look even better in comparison. He grows up, and is a constant reminder to the audience of how good Firestar is just by being there. Every time the reader thinks about Cloudtail, it'd be nearly impossible to not also subconsciously think about Firestar too. The even better thing about this, though, is both characters grow into respected members of their clan, and neither has to compromise who they are to do so. This is what makes Cloudtail a much better written parallel to Firestar than Scourge is. And the Urans did all of this without having to turn Cloudtail into a villain, which is truly outstanding storytelling. Thank you everyone for watching this video, and if you would like to get some cool art from me, I take commissions and have a Redbubble account below. See you guys next time!